Great White is the lone wooden roller coaster on the Jersey Shore. Located at Morey's Piers in Wildwood, New Jersey, this Custom Coasters International creation starts off on Adventure Pier, and then most of the layout is literally built on the beach. It's certainly one of the most unique settings for a roller coaster. But is Great White actually great? Find out in this review. Morey's Piers currently owns 3 piers. Most rides are located on their 2 oldest piers, in Surfside Pier and Mariner's Landing. The third and newest pier was acquired in 1988. Morey's purchased the former Fun Pier and reopened it in 1992 as Adventure Pier. Adventure Pier has less rides than the other piers and focuses more on upcharge attractions. This is the pier where you'll find rides such as the Sky Coaster, Skyscraper, Scream and Swing, Spring Shot Slingshot, and the Grand Prix Raceway go-karts. But when Morey's Piers ran out of space on their other 2 piers and wanted to build a new wooden roller coaster, they placed it on Adventure Pier, or rather the beach right next to Adventure Pier. Great White opened in 1996. New Jersey has an extensive history of wood coasters, but would you believe me that Great White now holds the distinction as the oldest wooden coaster in the state? It's pretty surprising that title will be claimed by a CCI built in the 1990s, but that's actually the truth now. And based on the frequent track work that Morey's does in this coaster, this ride is unlikely to be going anywhere anytime soon. Great White was one of the first CCI coasters to have a steel support structure. The first was Hoosier Hurricane at Indiana Beach, which was also built on a challenging location, as part of that ride is built over the water. CCI went with the steel supports because Great White is built atop the sandy beach. Not only does that make sense from a structural perspective, but the silver steel supports suit the coaster's name. It's also pretty cool how close you can get to this coaster. You can walk around the entire structure if you're strolling along the beach. Great White usually has a manageable wait. I've personally never had to wait more than 15 to 20 minutes for this coaster, even on a summer weekend, and usually I wait less. Morey's almost always has 2 trains cycling on this coaster. However, if you arrive early in the day, they may only fill one of them. This past summer, they would load one train and send the other one empty. I'm guessing it was because an empty train or partially loaded train was a valley risk. Once the ride gets a consistent wait, they will start loading both trains. It is a weird practice you don't usually see, but it does save time later in the day because maintenance won't be called over and have to shut down the ride to add a second train. Because of this practice, it is more prudent to arrive later in the day sometimes if you want one of the premium seats. One other thing to note is that Great White has a sign by the main entrance stating that the coaster can close for an hour midday for maintenance. I haven't seen this happen when Adventure Pier opens in the evening like it did in 2021, but this is more frequent when Adventure Pier opens in the afternoon. Just keep that in mind if you're visiting Morey's on a tight schedule. Great White Station can get very cramped. The station is super narrow, and you're admitted into the station towards the front. And like most coasters, the front will get the longest line, so this will create quite the clog. In terms of the ride experience, I am torn whether I prefer the front or back car. However, I ride more in the back because that line is often much shorter. Very few people navigate all the way through the sea of people to reach that car. I do recommend the second to back over the very back though, because you'll get a smoother ride experience since you're not in a wheel seat, and the forces feel identical on those 2 seats. Great White operates 2 PTC trains, one red and one blue. Each has 6 cars seating 4 passengers each, for a total of 24 riders per train. The restraints are the standard seatbelt and individual lap bar combination typically found on PTC trains. These restraints are not my favorite, but they're fine. Once dispatched, you begin with a drop right out of the station. The load platform is pretty high off the ground, and you immediately dive beneath the boardwalk. This drop may not offer any airtime, but it does catch you off guard in the back as you're suddenly accelerating leaving the station. But even wilder is the turn that follows. It is completely unbanked, so you get some decent laterals. I do wish this tunnel was in total darkness to amplify the sense of speed, but it is illuminated with lights. You then emerge into the daylight and ascend the 110-foot or 34-meter tall lift hill that takes you over the beach. Because of this coaster's placement, you will get some stunning views of the coastline and Atlantic Ocean. It's one of the best views in any coaster in my opinion. Once at the top, you descend down the 100-foot or 30-meter tall drop, hitting the ride's top speed of 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers per hour. This drop has a 50-degree angle, and if you're in that back car, you will get a pop of weak ejector airtime going down the drop. You then traverse 3 consecutive turnarounds. The first and largest offers some decent floater airtime up front as you enter into the element. And then everyone experiences some solid laterals on the minimally banked turn. The laterals are a little stronger in the back though. The drop off this turnaround gives a little bit of floater airtime if you're in that back car. The pullout from this drop is minimally banked and turns to the right too, so you'll get a quick jolt of laterals. This is unfortunately a bumpy maneuver though if you're on a wheel seat, so brace yourself if you are. You then ascend the second turnaround. Up front, you again get some decent floater airtime entering the element. And then everyone gets some mild laterals on the turn, even if it isn't taken with much speed because of how sharp the turn is. The drop off the second turnaround offers no airtime though, due to its lack of steepness and speed. However, there is another unbanked turn in the valley at the bottom that offers another lateral jolt. But again, there are some bumps if you're on a wheel seat. The entrance into the third turnaround is elongated, so it will offer no airtime this time. But the subsequent turn has arguably the strongest laterals on the entire ride. The turn dips down and up. Combined with the minimal banking, you are pinned to the side of the train. Great White then navigates its best sequence of airtime. The drop off the third turnaround is decently tall and steep, so it gives some very strong floater airtime if you're in the back car. You then traverse back-to-back bunny hills. The first one gives weak floater airtime for all, but the second one has some serious power to it. It gives a good pop of ejector airtime up front, and a solid but weaker ejector pop if you're in the back. It really catches you off guard after the relatively mild hill that precedes it. You then ascend a double up into the fourth turnaround. The first hump gives a little bouncy airtime up front, but you won't get anything towards the back of the train. You then zoom around another unbanked turn. While this one has some good sustained laterals, it is easily the bumpiest part of the ride. Unless you're in the very front row, this turn is brutal. I really hope Maury's retracts this section of the ride in the future because it needs it. The drop off this turn gives some weak airtime in the back, and then you bank up and to the left into the brake run, getting one last jolt of laterals on the way. This ends the 3,300 foot or 1,000 meter long coaster. So what would I rate the Great White? I would give this CCI creation a 7 out of 10. This is a solid wooden roller coaster. The ride has a beautiful setting, and then the layout has a mix of airtime and laterals. Great White is one of CCI's best rides for lateral forces. Most turns really pin you to the side of the train. The airtime may not be as strong as some of CCI's other coasters, but the attraction has its moments in both the front and back cars. The ride has a few bumpy spots, particularly that final turnaround, but as a whole, this is a fairly smooth coaster, and a decently well-paced one too. I think Great Nor'easter is narrowly the best coaster at Maury's Piers, but Great White is a wonderful compliment. I hope Maury's can one day get that once proposed wood coaster that would span multiple boardwalks, but until then, Great White is a respectable wood coaster on the Jersey Shore. So those are my thoughts on the Great White. What are your thoughts on this wood coaster? Do you think it's an underrated CCI? I would love to hear your thoughts on this ride down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.